Let's take you back to Limpopo now, where the Electoral Commission is hosting its first registration drive this coming weekend, as we all are going to be registering to vote, we hope. That's for the 18th and 19th of November. The IEC in Limpopo launching its program. Let's take you live to those proceedings now.
In our elections and to make their aspirations clear. Launching this elections 2024 raises in me feelings that we come back with from a past that was not the best, but a future that can be made even so bright because all of us aspire to a brighter future. You could say there are some of us who, as I hear, the PO may not be doing another election. And this is breaking news, Director of Ceremonies. It's breaking news for Commissioner Mashinini and I, and we are going to go home thinking about what does breaking news mean. But for young people, there's an opportunity that the future may be made up of. Democracy is a slow process of stumbling to the right decision instead of going straight forward to the wrong ones. We need to secure our future. We need to work together for good. I remember in 1994, we did not ask many questions. We did not know, a lot about the electoral process. We simply knew we needed everyone who is a South African citizen to vote and have their votes counting for the representatives of their choice. Many of us didn't even understand what and how that is going to be interpreted. We didn't care about what electoral system that this country had taken would be. We wanted to be emancipated. We wanted to get that right to cross that ballot and make our choice clear. It took 4 months for that commission to deliver that election. They never had demarcation done. There was no opportunity. They never had the voters' roll as we do. They had identity documents that were wide and varied, and they cared to never exclude anybody and used every one of them. Democracy was important for them, and we live today because they started that journey. We need to perfect it. It is not perfect. It is not because the elections we had in 1994 were not meaningful. It is not because they were not credible. Yes, there were many challenges that they had. And of course I know, working for the Electoral Commission, that if we delivered for you an election that is exactly the same as that election, you would say not free, not fair, not credible. And so every election has its own challenges. For us, we need to rise to that occasion. We need, in this instance, to remember that when we have a will, when we have a desire, nothing is impossible before us. In that election in 1994, everyone was patient. Everyone wanted to cast their ballots. And once they had done so, they gave the electoral management body the opportunity to count the votes, to announce the results, and to get on with the task of rebuilding or continuing to build our nation. That challenge wasn't a once-off challenge in 1994. It remains a challenge even today as we speak here. So what am I saying? I'm saying the following. 2024 will give us an opportunity to ensure that we act consistently to improve the manner in which we administer our elections and uphold the progressive standards that we had set for ourselves for credible, free, fair elections that are universally accepted not only by ourselves but celebrated by the world. There is a significant part of this responsibility that lies on the shoulders of the Electoral Commission. But that responsibility cannot be said to be solely ours. We take responsibility in ensuring that we lead it, and we lead it with dignity and humility. We fully recognize that in order for us to attain this, we will need every citizen and every resident to play their civic duty. This is a call for all hands on deck, if you like, everyone being significant and everyone making the contribution they need to make. We need political parties and candidates that are alive to the aspirations of our nations, the challenges of our people, the desires of the future generation that we all need to bring up in hope for a nation that is prosperous, a nation that respects the rights of others, that you live, I live because you live, I am because you are. Thirdly, we will need a civil society that truly works and does what civil society ought to do, ensuring that we know our responsibilities, that our roles are never crossed, that we are not sheep in leopard skin, but we remain sheep when we are sheep and leopards when we are leopards. We need a media that informs, that does so respectfully, that does so without taking sides, that does so to inform and not to belittle, that does so not to misinform, that does so not because it has secret agendas, but a media that all of us can truly say we are proud, we know, because they have raised these things. I'm not saying they should not be critical. I'm not saying that they should sing praises for some and not for others, but they need to inform everyone well enough. We need men and women of stature, men and women who will rise, not because they have attained that, this, or the other, but because their love for this nation and for this country requires them to stand and do or take their rightful positions in society. Some of them will be candidates. Some of them will be supporters of these candidates. Some of them will pray for them. Some of them will prepare food for them on farms. Others will organize themselves in ways that will raise the flag of this nation higher and higher at every turn in society. It is a combination of everything working together in harmony that makes a nation bright. Elections impact even a 3-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 17-year-old that does not vote. They remind their grandparents, Granny, you mustn't forget, Saturday is registration weekend. Do rise up early. Go and check your registration details and be sure that you're registered and that you vote when the elections come. As I close, there are a number of things I get reminded that we've had a number of elections where we have spoken about a voter's role that needs young people to engage. I think we are not going to speak about them. I think we need to engage them. And I want us to engage them at the level where they are. There's much we have done to prepare for that. We meet them on social media. We created opportunities for them to register online. We created opportunities for them to engage one another in educative endeavors for them to know what we are doing and why it's important to do this. But this job doesn't just take the Electoral Commission. It requires all of us. And today I want to make a pointed plea that let us not believe it is impossible. And I want to quote our beloved Madiba when he says, and I quote, "It all looks impossible until it is done." I close the quote. We can attain young men and women that rise up at 18 to register and to vote. It is not impossible for many of them to take their rightful positions in elected office, but the journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step, and for us, that step is registering as a voter and voting in an election. I am encouraged. I am inspired by the challenges that are before us. I know we can never be complacent, and I ask that we don't. I want to ask every one of us that one day when we sit back, there must be something we are able to say, when it was my time, in my generation, when the call was made, I actually realized it, and I never betrayed it, but fulfilled it. May God bless our nation, even as we go into elections. Thank you very much.
All right, Mosotho Moepya there, who's the chairperson of the Independent Electoral Commission, speaking in Limpopo as they, of course, launch and share with us their preparations ahead of the voter registration weekend. A reminder, of course, that's the 18th and 19th of November this weekend. So go out, see where and how you're registered to vote. If you are not, do go and get registered to vote. Encourage particularly young people to go and vote. And that's essentially what the chairperson of the IEC has really touched on towards the end there of his address, the need for all of us to take the responsibility of encouraging young South Africans to register to take part in next year's election. And he spent a big part of that address really touching on the massive and mammoth task that it was for the IEC to organize that election of 1994, before there were all these technical innovations digital innovations that we're able to make use of, when IDs looked very different for various parts of society depending what race and age you were at the time, and said for the sake that the 1994 IEC was able to pull this off, they feel that they have a great responsibility to make sure that this election is perfected on the back of that beautiful legacy.